What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic start to your Monday. Another week of working, which probably means it's not a fantastic start. So I'm sorry about that. But welcome into another draft edition of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That's Bill Sparks. We're recording this as always on Saturday night. So if I'm a little groggy and I don't make any damn sense, I've been watching college football all day and I ate way too much food at a Halloween party. So I apologize. Make sure you hit that subscribe, give us a thumbs up here on the YouTube. Appreciate you all. Check out the TikTok. The Barking Browns. It's the period Barking period Browns. We do some stuff on TikTok, including by the time you see this, yesterday we will have done a live watch party on our TikTok. So, and if that goes well, then maybe we'll be continuing to do some of those in the future. So, like us on all those socials and all that good shit. Bill, how we doing, buddy?
Jacob, we are doing good, man. Coming into this week, I didn't think it was going to be that good of a slate. Like you had the one-off games that were like, yeah, this game might be a little fun to watch, but God, you know what? Coming away with it, there are a bunch of good games to talk about. We got a lot to talk about in this show, so we might as well just jump right in. Folks, if you're watching the show, we did, like Jacob said, we record this on Saturday night, so currently in the process of watching Texas A&M, LSU, Tennessee, Kentucky, some of those games. But I'm going to start in the SEC, man. Mm-hmm. Alabama, South Carolina. What a game. This is a tale of two quarterback stocks. You watch Ty Simpson's is through the roof right now. And I'm going to say this. Quarterback 2 is all but locked up with Simpson. And if you told me a team had Simpson over Mendoza, I can't disagree with it because you watch the first half of that game. It was rough. There were points in that game where he struggled. He sailed passes. He missed the mark. But what does he do? Fights through adversity. And that's what you want your quarterback to do. Fight through adversity, leads them all the way back with a 15-point fourth quarter, including just some absolute darts to Jeremy Bernard and just kept them in that game all afternoon long. And like you and I were talking before we went on air, Lenore Sellers has got to get out of South Carolina. This is not his year to declare. He's got to get out of South Carolina, whether it's transfer to Miami, it's transfer to Oregon. If Dante Moore declares, there's just not enough talent around him to make it work down there.
Or transfer if Mendoza declares, which I think he will, transfer up there and play with Curt Cignetti, or go to wherever Will Stein goes when he becomes a head coach. That's what I would do if I was Lenore Sellers, because I watched this game from the Lenore. We'll get to the Ty Simpson's part is a bigger part of the conversation, but for the Lenore Sellers side of this conversation, I watched it and I go, yeah, that's a guy that it has round one, pick one talent.
Yes.
Not debatable in my mind. If he can reach that ceiling, that's not debatable. But I don't know how he'll ever do that at South Carolina. What was the who's calling that game?
Was that Fowler? No.
Yes.
Was it Fowler?
I think it was Fowler. I can't. But anyway, I remember him saying
no. It was Tessitore. It was Tessitore and someone.
Jesse Palmer.
That was it.
Yeah, just Palmer. And they said, Sellers has been sacked going into this game 25 times, but it should have been 50. But because of his athletic ability, and then that's the tale of like, man, you got to get the hell out of there because you're really talented, but you're getting the shit beat out of you, and they're not helping you. So like, I'm like, get him out of there, get him to Will Stein, get him to Curt Cignetti, get him to Miami down there, and whatever. Get him somewhere else and let him because like he's raw, especially in the pocket, and you can't get any better in the pocket if you're being murdered in the pocket.
And so it's gonna speed up your clock, and you're gonna say, I am out, and he's got the speed to go.
Yeah, and then he's like, you just Lenore. I think you're going to be a fantastic NFL quarterback if you can reach your ceiling. I don't know if that happens to you if you play another year in South Carolina. And I think you should play another year in college football. If he does come out, I will totally respect it because I get it. But like, I think you should play another year and it should not be there. Ty Simpson conversation. I talked to our co-host, our cohort here on the Barking Browns. I talked to Casey Kinnaman earlier today. I wanted to tell him because we had an awesome moment. Big McShay Show fans and Jeremy Bernard, that end around jet sweep, whatever you want to call it, that for what was it, a 25-yard touchdown, like just insane with like 30 seconds to go. And they always say on the McShay Show, Todd always talks about onions having the balls to call plays, and I was like, God, the onions on that. And Steve Minch liked the tweet, so I mean, we tagged him in it, but he liked it, and that was cool. So I wanted to put that one out there. That I was like, oh, Minch actually saw it, and he's like,
Right.
Because dude, the onions to call that play by Kalen DeBoer and that staff, and just because you would think, oh, he's gonna run this out, kick the field goal. Hell no, we're not putting that in a chance. We're going for the jugular, and we're going to call this play. But the Ty Simpson thing. Mm-hmm. So I texted Casey, and I said, yesterday was him and his wife's 11th. You guys will be watching this on Monday. So Friday was his 11th year wedding anniversary. So I knew he was potentially out celebrating. So I didn't want to call and ruin anything. And I said, hey, call me when you get a chance. It's not important. It can wait till tomorrow if, whatever. So I wanted to call and I wanted to tell him about Minch liking that tweet. But when I was having that conversation with him, I said, I don't care about Ty Simpson only having 7 starts. Or is it 8? What is it now?
I think it's up to 8 now. I think this was number 8.
So I couldn't. I knew it was 7 or 8. And I said to him, I'm watching this kid play, and I don't care about the start number. And he said, I do. He goes, I do. And I was like, and I understand why. And I respect that. And then he asked me a question that I want to pose to you because it really had me stumped. He said, is Ty Simpson a unicorn? And then what he then followed it up with was 2 examples of prospects. So he said, is he a Josh Allen? Is he a Drake May? Those were the 2 people that he compared him to. He says, if he's one of those guys, then I don't care, draft him. But if he's not, I would like him to get more starts. And I started, kind of thinking about that. And one thing that people gets lost about Ty Simpson, because he doesn't do it enough, but we saw it this week a little bit more. He was the number 2 ranked dual threat quarterback coming out of high school when he went, as he was being recruited. He wasn't just, it is well documented. He is far better. He's been doing a lot of damage from the pocket and on the run, but like some boots and some, scrambling and things like that. I think it's lost that he's actually a really freaking good athlete too. He's not, I wouldn't call him elite, but he's up there, man, because he was the number 2 high school dual threat quarterback coming out in his class. And I think that gets lost in the sauce a little bit. So my question is he along the lines of a Drake May, Josh Allen unicorn, where you're like, yes, I can excuse those, the lack of starts? So I posed that question to you. I sat there for a minute, and then what I ended up saying to him is he's probably going to play 14, 15 games this year because I think they'll go into the playoffs, and I think they'll win a couple of playoff games. They might win it all, if we're being completely honest. I think Alabama is very capable of winning the whole kit and caboodle. I said, if he plays the rest of these games like that, I would consider him a Drake May prospect, and I'd be fine with it. So I present that question to you.
If they go as deep as I think they're going to go, you're probably looking 13, 14 starts, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Right.
I'm okay with it because here's the thing. I'm okay with it depending on where he lands. If he lands in an area where you're expecting him to elevate others, like if he landed in Cleveland, for example, I'm not okay with that. Cleveland, if you're going to take a guy that has that few of starts in Cleveland, you need him to be a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Lenora Sellers, who's got that running ability to help him out because the offensive line's just banged up. But if you told me he went to Las Vegas, if you told me he went to Arizona, where there's infrastructure there. There's some offensive line depth. There's some pass catching depth. It's not a complete barren wasteland. I'm okay with it. But if you told me right now, Ty Simpson number 1 overall to the Jets or the Dolphins,
what if he goes somewhere that has a bridge quarterback?
perfectly fine with it. If you told me he went somewhere, and he sat for the first 6 or 7 games, absolutely fine with it. I think when we talk about these starts, and you and I have talked about it, the golden number is 30. That's where you find the most success. But there have been some guys that have gone higher than that with fewer starts. Obviously, you have the Anthony Richardson conversation, but you also have the conversation of like Mark Sanchez, Mitchell Trubisky. And there's guys that they weren't great, but they weren't bad.
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. Yeah. So, but again, if I'm going to take a guy that has those few of starts and I don't have something to hang my hat on, bridge quarterback, offensive line depth, pass catchers, he can get the ball out too quickly. At that point, I'm very concerned. I've got a top 15 grade, a first round grade on Ty Simpson, and he's my quarterback 2. But I also say there are some teams that should not take him because they just don't have the infrastructure to support his continued development.
Okay. I think that's very, very fair because I'm in this. I decided today I'm in this weird world where I'm like, man, maybe the Browns should sign Mac Jones this offseason. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I just did it. And also, Colorado's quarterback just threw a beautiful pass to a guy wearing a different collared shirt. That was right to him. Yeah, so like I like this game from Ty Simpson, just straight up battle through adversity, and it's not always going to be pretty in the first half. It just didn't look good, and then it was almost like he went in and he sat down, got like some smelling salts or something, and just locked his ass in, and he just came out firing. And you've got to see those games from them. Other guy to shout out in there, Jeremy Bernard.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued. This wide receiver class is stupid.
Yeah. He was a guy for me that's in my top 100, and it was my wide receiver, I believe. Yeah, wide receiver 14 at 78th overall on my board. So you're talking about a day 2 guy. But you told me if he's my wide receiver 2, I don't think he's wide receiver 1 caliber, but he could be in spurts. He's not the guy. But if you told me you sat him next to someone as a wide receiver 2 and that was your guy, listen, man.
I wanted to pull it up real quick 3 catches for 23 yards and a touchdown, 5 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown, 3 carries for 23 yards and a touchdown, which included the 25-yard. So he actually had a couple negative plays there, but so he had the 25-yard touchdown run. I love what he does after, you get the ball. You find what he's that guy that you find a way to get the ball to him in space, just because that's what you want to do. But that game, man, that was a heck of a game. Is anybody else in that game you want to shout out?
So we talked about it before we went on the air, but man, Caden Proctor. Oh. You want to talk a roller coaster, right? So you have a guy coming out of the summer, first round talent. Everybody loves him, plummets his stock with poor play. He's coming back up. And you and I talked about it. I have a 4th round grade on Proctor, but if someone took him somewhere on day 2 because they see the vision of making him either a right tackle, or I would put him at a right guard. Like if the Browns took him in round 3 as a replacement for Batonio or Teller, I'm not blinking at that. That is a perfect fit. And we all know how much Barry loves young, athletic, RAS monsters who are multi-year starters in the SEC.
I just love that they keep handing him the football. Like they're just They ran a halfback draw. It might have been a direct snap. Neither one of us can remember completely for sure, but he was lined up on the hip of Ty Simpson on an end goal situation, and he got his legs taken out from him, which is literally the only way you're going to take Caden Proctor down because that dude is enormous. But I will say that coming out of like you said, coming out of summer, I was high on him because I'm like, dude, this dude's got traits for days. He's 20 years old, he's going to be 21 going into his rookie season with 3 years starting experience in the SEC, and you're like, and it's been a roller coaster, but I would say over the last 2 or 3 weeks, especially, it's been a steady climb. Like he had some rough moments this week. Like there were some rough moments in this game, some missed blocks, but also some really, really good executed blocks and really helped Ty Simpson in some situations. And you're just you continue to go, oh, when I watch him, I just continue to go, he needs more time. And if he goes day 2, he's going to probably get it. He's probably going to get that time that he needs. He might go day 1 because you want to, and he might go day 1 and get time that he needs too. But sometimes there's a little bit more pressure on the day 1 guys. But I do think I'm feeling it. I was so worried the way he started the season. He struggled so bad, but it's one of those things where it's just, I'm very impressed. You can tell he's putting in the work, climbing that ladder week after week. So yeah, that was a good call out because I almost forgot to call that one out. From the early game, Fernando Mendoza he's just Fernando Mendoza. Like he only threw for 168 yards because that's just all they needed him to do. Used his legs a little bit more in this game. I saw some really nice. There was a couple of throws in the first half. I don't know if it's the first quarter or second quarter, but I was pretty sure it's in the first half. There were several plays where you just watch him making throws to his third and fourth read because we've had a lot of complaints about and invalid complaints that early in the season he was doing a lot of one read RPO stuff, and you're seeing more and more progression in him getting through reads and things of that nature, and his ball placement, the timing, his ability to move and adjust, throw on the run. He's got an NFL arm. You can tell his teammates freaking love him. I loved the moment where he celebrated his backup quarterback, who was his little brother. He was out there celebrating with him in the fourth quarter when he was making plays. Elijah Surratt, he had that one drop. You could tell Surratt was so frustrated with himself because he missed a couple of plays, but yeah, Fernando Mendoza just continues to just be quarterback 1 for me in his own tier.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He's in his own tier alone, and you mentioned it. He didn't have to do much. 168 yards and 3 touchdowns, but they also had a piece of history in that IU-UCLA game. Do you know that Fernando and Alberto Mendoza are the first pair of brothers to ever rush for a touchdown each in a collegiate game?
That is such an obscure record. That is it.
So I had to come with it.
When's it ever even been attempted? But
when's it ever been attempted? But yeah, no, you watched him. It's clear the Heisman runs through Bloomington.
Yes,
number 1 overall pick runs through Bloomington. Like everything is Mendoza's to lose, and I was concerned as an IU fan. I was concerned because UCLA had been playing well, won 3 straight. They beat up on Penn State. They beat up the people they were supposed to, and they tried. There was a lot there, but after the early interception from Aiden Fisher, who by the way is a day 3 linebacker prospect that's not getting talked about nearly enough and should be. And I've got another one that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit for a linebacker prospect too in my quick wraparound that we do every week here. But that interception and the fact that he returned it for a touchdown, that set the tone. And Mendoza is going. People can argue with a wall. He is the Heisman frontrunner. He is the number 1 overall pick frontrunner. And if you are a Jet fan or a Dolphin fan, maybe even a Browns fan, you are hoping like hell that you are mediocre for Mendoza.
I love the trend of trying to make tanking pulling out your what's that called, thesaurus, pulling out your thesaurus, and you're like, okay, the words tank, but I need it to sound like Mendoza, so mediocre for Mendoza. Okay, tank for Tua. That's all. Tank for Tua will always be my favorite one, just because it sounds so perfect.
Absolutely.
I have not heard be mediocre for Mendoza, and I like that a lot. So I'll give you some major props on that. Oh, shit. Next game that I think has some guys we really want to talk about is Texas A&M putting belt to ass in LSU.
To ass.
That game is still going on right now as we're recording this. I have a sneaky suspicion, guys, that as you hear us talk about this game, that Brian Kelly probably doesn't have a job anymore. And it's 40. Okay, so it's a minute 20 left. It's 49-18, and it looks like LSU is about to score a garbage time touchdown with a buck 20.
They just did Parker with a beautiful toe tap, and I can tell you this: Nussmeier has been relieved of his duties with the air quotes, and Michael Van Buren is out there. And honestly, and you and I talked about this before we went on the air, Jacob. The LSU has to sit Nussmeier, and it's not a performance thing. It's not,
No.
But he is not right. He is not healthy. He is getting banged up. Everything we said about Sellers getting banged up week in, week out, Nussmeier is getting it on a worse scale because he's also 30 pounds lighter and 3 inches shorter.
Yeah. And they called a draw play for him when he has an abdominal injury. They called a draw play for him in the red zone. And they also didn't block well on that play either. And he took a shot. And I'm like, what in the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm a big Nuss guy, and he had some plays. He had some moments where I'm like, there he is. But then he can't move. Then he's getting hit. And it's just all this stuff. And I'm like, I can't. I can't. It just frustrates me that to try to evaluate him on that side. But I want to start with my boy. We talked about him. I put him in the first round of our mock draft on Saturday. If you didn't see our first full round mock draft on Saturday, go check that out. Cassius Howell with another couple of sacks early, kind of set the tone, helped A&M kind of get the ball rolling. I think that he didn't get a third one, did he? No.
Okay. No, he just had the 2.
So 2 sacks for him, 2 tackles for loss. That ties him. I believe that's 9.5 on the season. I think he came in with 7.5, and 9.5 he had a couple of years ago. I think Cassius Howell is right behind Ruben Bain for my edge too.
Ooh.
I just think the speed to power, this first step, like, I know he's not like the strongest guy, but like, I think he's got enough mixed with that speed. Another couple of sacks today, and it was early. It was when it was a game. It wasn't mop up. It wasn't they weren't coverage sacks. Like, they were just like, boom, off the ball on Nussmeier, get him on the ground. They were drive killers, and Cassius Howell, the edge rusher from Texas A&M, just continues to. I don't know. I think there's a chance we do edge rushers next Saturday. We might be doing that, and we'll see where I end up with him. But he is a first-round talent to me because I think he's that good of a pass rusher.
No, I see the vision with Cassius Howell. I'm not sold on him yet because I do have concerns about his ability to set the edge and run defense. And it's the conversation of how high do you take a pass rusher who can't really give you much in the edge game. Plus, he's 6'2", 248, so he's a little short, little light. If you told me a 3-4 outside linebacker, I'm all for that. I'm all for stand up, hand in the dirt. I'm not there, but I see the vision. And it's so wild that we talk about another Texas A&M edge rusher. Like Mike Elko has to get his flowers for what he's done with guys like Nick Scourton, Shamar Stewart, Cassius Howell. Like he just continues to churn out these. I think Texas A&M is starting to become defensive end university at this point. But if you're going to call out one of your guys, I'm calling out one of mine. KC Concepcion is wide receiver 1 in this class, and I will not accept any more slander. And I will not. I refuse it. And shout out to Dame. You know, he and I interact on X pretty frequently. He mentioned this. I loved Luther Burden last year. Luther Burden was my wide receiver 1. And he put the 2 and 2 together of KC Concepcion's comp as Luther Burden. And I'm like,
as soon as you sent me that text, and I was like, yep,
light bulb on. But you know what he did tonight? The stat line doesn't do it enough justice. But you look in that first quarter, they were tied 7-7. What's KC Concepcion do? Catch a touchdown pass. Catches a touchdown pass, and now it's 14-7. Coming out of the third quarter, sitting there, it's 18-14 coming out of the half. All of a sudden, you know, you have Marcel Reed. He scores a touchdown. It's 21-18. Couple back and forth. So at that point, 21-18.
Still a game.
And then all of a sudden, 70-yard punt return, touchdown.
79.
See, I even undersold it. But you know what? Wait, you coming in with the assist. 79-yard punt return for a touchdown. Put the game away. That sapped all the air out of Death Valley. And that's what KC Concepcion does. He's a lightning in a bottle dude that saps the air out with big plays. He's a game changer. And I'll take a game changer in the first round. We didn't get him in our first round of our mock that we did on Saturday. And it's because of the size concerns, 5'11", 185. Very niche size, kind of like Mekhi Lemon is. But man, if you told me somebody took him in round 1, you'll get no argument from me with my wide receiver 1.
You know who would? Sean McVay and the Rams.
Yeah.
They got Tutu Atwell. They've already shown you the proclivity to take a smaller but really fast. Do you know who I think about when I watch him? Because it's a smaller guy. I don't know. It's a perfect 1-for-1 comp because you know me. I'm not a great comp guy.
Yeah.
Travis Benjamin, the former Browns wide receiver, they called him the Jackrabbit, you know?
Yeah.
And I kind of see Jackrabbit traits in KC Concepcion because he's a smaller punt returner. He had that 79-yard touchdown, but let's also point out that he had 3 total punt returns for 132 yards. He had more than one big return, 79 yards, but on the other 2 equaled 60 more. So he had 133 punt return yards. So it's not like he had 85 punt return yards on 3 returns and 79 was on 1. No, he had some other returns and he had
45 yards.
45 yards.
And, 45 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, no. My comp for him has always been Santonio Holmes, because when you remember Santonio Holmes at Ohio State, how effective of a punt returner he was, but also just being slippery with the ball after the catch and a really good route runner. Like, he's not going to be everybody's favorite, but there's going to be a team that says, I don't care if he's 5'11", 190. We'll make it work, just like they said with Luther Burden, and now he's in Chicago ramping up his rookie year.
Yeah, and I know Tank Dell's not a great example, but like people are really, because he got hurt, but like people are taking chances on that because the athletic traits are there.
Yep.
Like you know, I'm sorry. Like if you are a dynamic playmaker, I'm interested. I'm interested in you. Okay, so are we missing anything big before we start doing our quick look around at shout outs to wrap things up?
I think there's one thing we have to talk about because he was your guy
Oh no.
The money line has busted. And John
Oh,
Mateer, he's got to go back to school, man. I mean, it had a rough day of it against Ole Miss. Just didn't look accurate. Looked better. Yeah, we'll give him that. Looked a
mhm.
lot better. You can
Yeah.
see he's getting healthier. But we've busted. We've busted on the money line parlay with John Mateer. We've got to cut it, and he's got to return to school.
I hear this on other draft podcasts all the time. Like, I punted this guy to next year. I punted John Mateer to next year.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that. Like, I'll have him near the top of my board for sure in the summer. So yeah, that one hurts a little bit. Yeah, that one hurts just a little bit. All right, so let's. I'm gonna steal this. We'll go back and forth on some shout outs, and I'm gonna steal the first one. $1.52 for Justice Haynes and the Michigan running back. Yeah, suck it. I'm gonna give you the double birds. this is our podcast, and we do whatever the fuck we want. Anyway, birds everywhere. I've learned you have to get like what is it, like 60 seconds in. If you get like 60 seconds in, then you can really just start dropping the F-bombs. They don't care anymore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Justice Haynes had 152 yards. Here's the best part about it. His long was only 28. So it's not like he had a 75-yard touchdown for it. No, he grinded it out. 26 carries, 2 touchdowns, also 3 catches for 19 yards. You took him in the first round on Saturday, even though people have him a lot lower, really on consensus. I continue to just see a really explosive running back that can. I mean, he's showing you that he can be a 25 carry guy. Like, I did not. He runs with more power than I expected.
Yep. Absolutely. And if you remember in that mock, he ended up in Chicago with Ben Johnson, who did very well with another explosive running back and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I think we've got to start talking about it. If we get to a point of 2 running backs in round 1, we had that same conversation last year with Ashton Genty, right? Ashton Genty was going to go round 1 regardless. Would someone else go round 2? Eventually, it was Amarian Hampton. I think it's the same conversation this year. Jeremiah Love definitely going round 1. Will someone else get there? I think it's Justice Haynes. But I'm gonna do a double dip.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a double dip because I'm glad you talked about this wide receiver class because 2 wide receivers stood out to me today. Both of them ended up with 153 yards and 1 touchdown.
Oh, okay.
One did it in 4 catches with Chris Brazzell from Tennessee, and one did it in 10 catches from Denzel Boston in Washington.
Yeah.
And both of them did it in different ways. Brazzell, a true size, speed, athletic freak, burned up the field. Freak of nature.
I think technically he caught a pass on the left side.
And I'm going to wait and see what the PFF grade is. And for folks that don't know the joke here, I dropped the statistic. To this point, before today's game, Chris Brazzell had only been targeted on the left side of the field 1 time. 0 catches on the left side of the field. I'm gonna look this week to see if they record that one as a left side of the field catch or not.
If it is, it's barely. It's barely.
But like Denzel Boston too, of course, big body, X style, classic receiver, had his way with that defense. Reminds me an awful lot of T. Higgins. I don't think he's your wide receiver 1, but I think he's your wide receiver 2. And if your wide receiver 1 goes down or misses some time, you can rest easy knowing you have a Denzel Boston in your roster.
I'm hitting the wrong button. I was trying to pull up some stats. I was hitting the wrong buttons. I'm like really bad. I don't even know what I was looking for at this point. No, you're right, 100%. Like he's definitely wide receiver 2. There was a Dante Moore thing. He looks like Dante Moore broke his nose, so that's something to watch. So he comes out of the game. Wasn't playing particularly great, but took a shot. So that's something you gotta monitor as well.
Absolutely.
Is there anybody? I don't know if I have. I'll see if I've got anybody else on here.
I'll say I've got 4 more rapid fire that I'll shoot off.
Go for it, because I don't. I freaking lost my list.
So let's just start at the top. Let's rattle them off. First up, Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King.
Mhm.
Listen, he's not going to be an NFL starting quarterback. He just doesn't have the ball placement, the accuracy, but he's fun to watch. Very athletic, very strong arm, 304 yards and 3 touchdowns passing, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing. Just led Georgia Tech to a rout of Syracuse. Next one, Navy quarterback Blake Horvath. Quarterback, key here, led the entire weekend in rushing yards before the late slate, 174 yards and 4 touchdowns rushing as a quarterback. Shows you what the service academies do. Another wide receiver, KJ Duff from Rutgers. 6 catches, 241 yards, 1 touchdown, another sleeper wide receiver that you've got to watch out for. But I said I was going to talk about this linebacker. I'm going to talk about him.
Hit me.
Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah.
10 tackles, 1 fumble, returned 69 yards. Nice. For a touchdown. He makes plays all over the field for this Texas Tech defense, which is very easy to do considering they have David Bailey and Romello Height at edge. It's very easy to make plays on the second level when you have those guys in front of you. But he is just out there, and his stock has shot up. I had a round 7 grade on him coming out of the summer. He is now currently my linebacker 6 and in my top 50. So he is just rocketing up the board about as fast as you can. And he reminds me a lot of Josie Jewell. When I see him, I see Josie Jewell 2.0, just a linebacker, little undersized, but he's athletic, plays like his hair is on fire, and looks to make a play every single time out there that he can. And I think somebody's going to get a star in him.
I just want to throw this out there because I'm not the first person to see this, because I'm sure somebody else has already called this out. I just think you draft Haynes King to be Taysom Hill.
Yeah. 100%.
A tight end, running back, quarterback hybrid, because he can sling it. He's a gamer, man. King is like, he does that. He is going to take abuse and laugh in your face.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that final game against Georgia, I cannot wait for that Georgia game. Like, that's going to be, because that Georgia defense is not what it's been in years past. And it's going to be like, hey, man, like, Georgia Tech might come into that thing undefeated. Like, I mean, they're making quite a run. And of course, I think there's a collision course in Detroit between Indiana and Ohio State coming up. Probably both undefeated, because Ohio State really doesn't have very many. It's all about Michigan. Can they get past Michigan? Because that's about all Ohio State has left on their schedule.
Right.
Prior to potentially facing Indiana. So that's something to watch. I will note that the Utah tackles, that game's still going on currently, playing much better against Colorado. They've had some struggles. Lone Moon, Fano, they're playing better over there. One guy I did want to give a little bit of props to, Xavier Chaplin, the left tackle for Auburn, played better in these last couple today and last week. Especially last week. I thought he had a pretty good game last week, but that was a guy that had been struggling a little bit, and I thought he kind of stepped up. And it's like one of those things where it's like, if you can just string together a few good games down the stretch, this class is not very good. And if you could string together some like tape that makes you go, I see the upside there, you could really put yourself in a better draft position, because that's just where we're at. So
yeah.
I think that's it, man. You got one?
I got one more, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about him, because we did nothing but there was a lot of people that just shit on this guy and just crapped on him and said he wasn't ready. Part of it was because we overhyped him significantly coming into the season, me being one of those people because he was my quarterback too. Arch Manning had a good day
He
against
did.
Mississippi
Yes.
State.
Yes, he
He
did.
had a good day, and the stat line definitely shows it: 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. But you saw the vision of what Arch could be.
Mhm,
A field
mhm,
general who moves the ball down the field, doesn't turn it over, but uses his legs to get him out of trouble. But I think it's too little too late for
mhm.
us to say, yeah, you string that together, you're coming out this season. Right now, Texas is 6-2, 3-1 in the SEC. They're probably out of the SEC title conversation, probably out of the playoff conversation. I said that they will miss the playoffs. I've said that frequently. But that today's game against Mississippi State was the Arch Manning that we all thought we were going to get from Jump Street week 1. It took 7 or 8 weeks to get here. So I'm excited to see how he stacks that up in the next game.
What I really liked about it is he got himself going with his legs. Like the beginning of the game, especially, was like his first touchdown. I believe it was the first or his second touchdown was a rushing touchdown. I believe I can't remember if it was the first or the second one, but it was very early because that's kind of the thing about why a lot of people liked him, and I liked him. I just kind of would. I think I had him 4 or 5, and that was just because I just hadn't seen enough of him. But it was very clear that the traits were there, and then all of a sudden it just felt like his mental processing and his mechanics were a mess. And then watching him today, I'm like, no, that's the guy I thought I would see play Ohio State week 1. He's got a ways to go. Again, I still think you punt him to 2027, but the vision, like you said, there it is. I see it.
Yep.
It's coming together. Keep building off of that. Guys, we appreciate you so freaking much. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on all of the platforms. We will be back live Wednesday, 1 p.m. with a regular edition of the Parker Brown Shows to talk about whatever the heck happened in that Patriots game. And what's funny is I said it in that tone because it could mean we got our asses kicked, or it could have mean we kicked ass, because I was like, what in the hell was that? Who knows? You guys will know. I don't know right now. Join us on TikTok, _Browns, for a live. Why am I telling people to join me for a live view party? Nope. Check out our TikTok.
Yeah.
But the live watch party will have already happened.
They can join for the next one. They can be ready to join for the next one.
I'm gonna come away. I just come out. We love you guys. See you guys again next time. As always, go Browns.
Go Browns.